We are licensed therapists, but we probably aren't your therapist. While we may share helpful information about mental health, it is best to form your individual care plan with your own mental health professional. If we are your therapist, hi. While this podcast shares nuggets of wisdom about mental health, we are sharing many pieces of who we are outside of the therapy room and doing a lot of yapping about nonsense, our own healing work, and some about sex and dating. If you feel listening to this podcast may interfere with your work in therapy, please refrain from doing so. While we're on the subject, any notes from our dating lives have been changed to protect the privacy of our partners and ourselves. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Healing Journey podcast. I'm Elise Kennedy.
And I'm Lindsay Camp.
This is the podcast where two therapist besties talk about their healing journeys and interview others on their healing journeys and healers who have helped along the way. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Elise. How are you, babe?
Well, we're raw dogging this episode.
You're finding me coming in hot I had therapy today, and because of the announcement that I'll make in a moment, I didn't have anything to talk about in therapy but my own bullshit. And I had a really intense session around my grief and my mom. And yeah, I'm coming in with some heaviness today. So thanks for holding it with me.
Of course. And I missed therapy last week as well as a Reiki session. I was supposed to see our friend Tara, and she intuitively knew that I wasn't going to make it, which was fair. And as we talked about with an announcement that I'll make shortly, some of us move our energies through more slowly than others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my announcement is that I am currently sober from dating.
Absolutely. And I'm taking a harm reductionist approach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Safer dating.
Talk to us about going sober.
Yeah. So I told you this, I don't know, like a week or so ago. And so there's some context for how we got here, but then like the experience of it, it feels like I told you that when I quit drinking for a couple of years ago, back on the sauce now, but I learned so much about myself in that experience and really like faced my stuff. And this is doing something similar, that I don't have that Band-Aid to put on hard feelings. I haven't been on the apps in a long time, and I'm not currently talking to anybody or sleeping with anybody. And I'm just raw dogging life without like that Band-Aid of distraction. But it also is feeling really good to be putting into practice something that we've talked about, which is like decentering men. And I have done it in some other little ways, but this feels like an important step at the moment to just take a step back and reorganize myself and chill. I'm just like not in the place right now.
Very fair. Proud of you.
Thank you for being one of my sponsors in this. And also we're not making light of sober journeys. I want to be really clear that this is just when we use language like we talk about death and sobriety. This is me like infusing in one of my favorite coping skills, which is dark humor, and reaching for things that are like tangible.
Nor are we making light of raw dogging it. We do our best to practice safe sex, and we recommend that you get tested either after each partner or once a month if you are not sober in dating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just to say that as well.
Important PSA.
Yeah. Now, we journeyed this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There was a full lunar eclipse. This lunar eclipse was all about shedding. We did take a mushroom journey as well the day after the full moon eclipse. Unfortunately, I spent the eclipse with somebody that I was supposed to be shedding, but I said to his face, I might shed you in the eclipse, so at least we're being honest. Then we had a really emotional, maybe it was the day after. We went to see one of our mutual faves, Waxahachie, and it was a very magical experience. And then the next day, like, really hit, and I felt very sad.
I'm sorry to laugh, but I came back to your house from my Reiki session that you so graciously and lovingly gifted me for my birthday, that you were supposed to be you were supposed to have done as well, but missed. Yes. And so Tara, our psychic medium, also does energy work. And when I tell you, those 2 hours with her were just magical. But when I came home, I walked into a scene and I should have known something was up. And you usually get a little anxiety after we've done a little bit of mushrooms. And also, like, to when we talk about mushrooms, like, I'm never on like a wild trip. Like, I'm just doing a little bit and colors are more vibrant and like I'm thinking about stuff more deeply.
I always say I like to get wavy. It's above microdosing. It's definitely a trip, but I like to get wavy and just, feel things more intensely, feel the music intensely, see the colors intensely. And
I told you Tara picked up on the mushrooms in my system. I was laying on her table and she's like, "Are you microdosing?" And I was like, "I had a couple stims last night." And she was like, "I can feel it I can feel it." But so I walked into, did I cut you off?
It's okay. I was just going to say, I get wavy and then I have intense waves of anxiety the next day. And it's uncomfy.
Yeah, the intensity tends to then lend itself to some tough reflection the next day. So I walked in knowing that there would be Chipotle waiting for me, but what I didn't know was that Lana would be playing and you would also have a Diet Coke from McDonald's. So that, when I took that in, I realized that we were up to some stuff.
And all of my tarot decks and crystals were next to me, having been left out charging since the eclipse. So it was a scene.
Yeah, you didn't even greet me at the door. The dogs were barking. I had to let myself in through the garage because the front door was locked. And I find you horizontal outside with Lana and a DC. And I said, "Oh,
we're in it."
Oh, what was going on?
So my harm reductionist approach in sobriety culture, the harm reduction approach is slowly, non-shamingly tapering off of something. Now, I've actually been experiencing a pretty healing for me relationship. And by the way, when the episode drops, everything will have, he knows, and he's not going to listen anyway. But I've been experiencing a pretty healing for me in many ways relationship. But what I said to you was, if I continue it, I know that I'm only hurting myself. And I think we come up against so much of our own shit in relationships, no matter the style of the relationship, no matter how healthy the relationship is, we face a lot of our own shit. And I just know that it's gotten to the point that continuing it is only hurting me. And that also makes me sad.
Yeah.
And so my harm reductionist approach is letting him know when it will end, but just saying, we've got a few more hangs left in us, but we're coming to our expiration date.
Mm-hmm. Like Carol and her last good summers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I remember in grad school, one of my professors talking about relationships being a mirror and holding up the stuff that maybe we aren't seeing or looking at. And whew, yeah, it's so true. It's so, so true.
I think there's something tough too. I've been thinking about that idea of relationships being a mirror. And so often I am the mirror in relationships because I have done so much of my own work. And so that can scare people away. So experiencing a relationship where there are these different types of boundaries and the mirror is not scary, but I'm also getting a mirror shown because of the safety in the relationship.
Or are you looking at the mirror because of the safety?
I'm getting there. It's like I am seeing myself in the haunted mansion.
Oh no.
With the hitchhiking ghosts, but the hitchhiking ghosts are also me. Like my ghost is hitchhiking and that's the mirror I'm looking at. Does that make sense?
Say more about hitchhiking ghost.
So at Disney World, there's this ride, the Haunted Mansion. And at the end of the ride, you come up to a mirror and you see that these 3D ghosts have hitchhiked their way into your vestibule. And they're just like ghosts in silly hats. That ghost is me. I'm sitting next to myself. I'm looking at my own reflection and I'm the hitchhiking ghost.
Okay.
And maybe wearing a silly hat. I don't know.
Likely
wearing a silly hat.
You know those memes that are like, that they talk about, like I've healed too much and now I like don't have any plans on Friday night, or I've healed too much and fuckboys are unattractive now, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that I have been noticing some of my patterns and have been really aware of the crossroads that I come up against of, do I continue the same shit? Do I do the same old thing? Do I replay the same pattern over and over? Or do I make a different choice and sit in the discomfort of that? We were talking with one night when we were out at Sam's Town with some of our girlfriends. You were inside, up to some stuff, and we were sitting outside and gabbing.
I was inside playing out my old patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was talking about one of my old patterns and how much I liked him and how much I knew he liked me too, but it wasn't working, blah, blah, blah. And I remember saying, like, I know that I could text him right now and I would get a response that like felt good enough. Like, I know that he would be like, he would give it a heart. He would say something in response that would feel fine, but that wasn't gonna do anything. And so like not texting him was actually that was my stuff that was my crossroads to like not reach out when I was feeling icky, or not try to use that as like a balm to like the shit that I was feeling.
So what do you think happened under the full moon on the way home from Waxahachie? What possessed you?
How dare you? How dare you? We're always healing. We're never healed. Always healing.
Always in process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what my dear friend here is alluding to is that I fired off some text.
Sure.
I don't know what possessed me. Like, why the fuck did I also text my ex-husband that night? Like, and they weren't anything of note. Like, they weren't meaningful messages, really. I don't know what possessed me. I had that feeling earlier in the day because I was in the town that this person lives in, and like he was just like on my mind during the day. And then I guess I poured a couple drinks on it and he heard from me, you know?
Couple drinks, a couple stems.
Couple stems. There's such a universal like desire to connect. And even though I was with my bestie and seeing my favorite artist, like there's still this like gnawing for like something a little more.
I was thinking a lot about actually a Waxahachie song.
Mm-hmm.
And I did say this out loud to the gentleman in question.
Mm-hmm.
But the lyrics, I don't know why you would lie. It was never the love you wanted.
Jesus.
And that fucking hits.
Jesus.
Because it's lying to yourself. It's lying to nobody else but yourself. And it's dimming what you might actually want to receive what somebody can offer. And I found that as I was exploring what I wanted for future relationships, because I have so many different ideas of relationships now that I've been divorced, my big thing was that I used relationships to form my life. Like I moved to Austin because of a partner. And a lot of what I did was hoping to be seen by a partner. Like even things that I did in my professional life, I just wanted my partner to be proud of me and to really see me. And a lot of it was like trying to fill some sort of a gaping hole inside of me. But I also realized this other piece around my attachment patterns where not being alone is not wanting to be not alone in the sense of not having a partner, but not alone floating in space. Like I imagine myself just floating in space, completely alone in the abyss. And it's that sense of not wanting to be alone. I love living alone and I love my life and I am obsessed with my friends. And I have so much to look forward to. And I have so much fun with my children. And I love and am obsessed with my children and they delight me. Everything is so full. And I love my job. And I'm really proud of the work that I do. And so I know that I'm at a place where having a partnership would only add to those things.
Should only add to those things.
Should only add to those things. And a lot of what I was looking for was fun in partnership, for it to not feel too heavy. And I want to be able to show my full self too, and to have those parts of me met. And so I think the idea of not just floating in the abyss is more healing work for me to do. I don't really think I'm going to drop into the abyss if I don't have partnership. And I fully believe that there's no expiration date on when we can find fulfilling partnerships. I also don't know that I want traditional monogamy, but I still know that something has been missing for me in what I've been experiencing now.
Like in your dating lately, post-divorce?
In my dating lately, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like after leaving my marriage, I remember you said to me, because I was up to something that was not aligned with my values. And I remember you saying to me, like, I'll give you a year. And then like, you've really got to cut the shit.
Yeah.
It's understandable now. And there's a time limit on this behavior. And yeah, I think about like the ways that we try to get those needs met, and in doing so, hurt ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, and that's why we have best friends to call us honestly on our shit.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's not to the extreme of being misaligned with our values, we can hold the harm reductionist approach with our friends where we let them do what they need to do and let it all unfold. And I'm here to talk with you about it all over and over and over again, as much as you need. And we're here to be completely honest with each other and really help ourselves explore the depths.
My female friendships have been the container and backdrop for all of this in a way that I've had really beautiful friends my whole life, but I wasn't leaning into it with honesty when I was dating before being married. And even in my marriage, I don't think I wasn't being honest with myself about some stuff, and he wasn't being honest with either of us about some stuff. But I wasn't being honest with my friends. And that piece I'm really trying to do differently this time. Instead of oh, everything's great. Because that, when I say that, what I'm really saying is oh, I did a good job picking, or I'm good. See me, I'm good. Because this is good, so I'm good.
I think that in my first iteration of dating, I thought that I put my friends first, but I really wasn't, even though I loved them so much and I had so many incredible experiences with my friends, and I really looked forward to plans with my friends. There's something really different for me in this iteration of dating in how much I'm prioritizing my friendships, because I've found after divorce that my friends are the ones that were here to catch me. Mm-hmm. And my friends are the ones that will hopefully continue to be there. Of course, there are friendship breakups, and that's devastating. But I'm even just thinking in my head now, we have our next big friend thing with all the ladies is we have a bunch of ladies going to see Lola Kirk. And I am looking forward to that more than I'm looking forward to any other upcoming event. And it was the friends that we were hanging out with too that made this weekend so magical. So I'm really holding that prioritization of the friendships. And there is something very fun about talking about your romances with your friends. When I was first getting into the dating scene, we had a group that would do apps and apps. One of our friends is married in a very healthy, wonderful marriage. And she wanted to reinvigorate one of our other friends who was pretty exhausted with dating and the app culture. And now we know why. When I was young and fun and, a year or two ago, I didn't understand why she felt burnt out. I was just getting those dopamine hits. Now I understand. But it was the whole event of apps and apps. That's what made the dating so fun.
Yeah.
And it is fun to talk about. It is fun to yap about.
I like what you're saying, though, that the fun part of that was feeling the love and the witness in that way and the joy in that way. It wasn't the men you were going on the dates with that were fun.
Or the men that weren't going on dates and just appeared and then disappeared as quickly as they came.
Mm-hmm. The graveyard.
The graveyard.
It should be said that every time we drive through your old neighborhood, which has a cemetery, we blow kisses to all of our
past lovers.
Mm-hmm. May they rest.
All the men. Yeah, all the men who have passed away. I think a lot about what a foreign app culture felt like to me.
Yeah, because you had never done it, right? Before
I had never
marriage.
done it.
Okay.
And being a therapist and a huge nerd around attachment, I really thought a lot about, and it felt almost like an anthropological study for me of how
Sure.
much it's changed how we relate to each other. And there's something really beautiful in now we have more opportunity to connect with more people than we ever have. And with that being said, it's made humans a lot more disposable. And there's a lot of different poor behavior that happens. I'm thinking of the first person that I connected with on the apps and my first date that I went on the apps. And I had such high hopes because this person was like asking me deep questions. He had gone to therapy. He was sending me voice notes. He was like, "You remind me of my mom." We were talking about literature. He was so into it and so excited. And then we went on 2 dates and it was over. And I was really sad about it, like in a different way, because I had envisioned all the possibility of what it could be without really knowing this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something else that it's opened up is it lets us project a lot onto people. And so these shorter relationships can be even more devastating because we've projected so much onto it and we have such high hopes about it.
Mm-hmm. You do a really good job of trying to quell that by not like looking them up online, not getting extra information. And I think you like that's part of that, like out of necessity to like rein it in.
Yeah, it is interesting. The point that I'm at now, I have a much different perspective on it, and something has shifted inside of me where I can still hold my ability for the depths of connection. Like I still feel like I very much have that in me. And I have a much more nonchalant approach and perspective on things. Of course. I'm harm reductioning, so this won't even be necessary soon because before you know it, I'll be sober. But I just approach it with a we'll see attitude, and I'm pretty okay no matter the outcome. But I still leave a possibility that if somebody wants to connect and open up with me, I'm open to that. And I can still have vulnerable, authentic connections without getting too hurt. I think I now appreciate each connection for what it is, to hold the humanity of it and to protect myself.
I think I'm learning how important it is to, like Casey Musgraves says, some people are givers and some are takers. And I'm learning how important it is to, have those protections, have those energetic and emotional boundaries where we're not so porous. Tara told me, I don't think I told you this. Tara told me that when she was working in my heart chakra, she said, it's bruised, but it's not broken. And it's still, she was like, you're still so heart wide open. And I feel that I'm a woman scorned, but I'm also like still a believer and still open to it, although again, sober right now. But and I think that those boundaries help us stay with ourselves and help us to not have shattered hearts that we then close. I don't want to be a bitter, jaded, closed off person. And that's my job. Part of that's my work. It's not, these men who do X, Y, and Z. It's what I'm allowing, what I'm tolerating, what I'm continuing once I know that something's not good for me.
Yeah, I always think about that meme that said, how do you know you're in love? And it says, I start off in love and then I subtract as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the way I show up, heart wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so open to possibility and such a lover girl. And I think what I've been shifting in my protection of myself, but still holding that open-heartedness, is paying attention to what I'm receiving from people and being really honest with myself about what I'm receiving and not putting the cart before the horse in my own feelings or imaginings of what something could be. Because I'm sure if we looked up in our text messages the amount of times that I've said I'm in love, it would be wild. In fact, I believe just a week or two ago, you checked in on how a date was going. And I said, I'm in love. And then an hour later, I said, never mind.
Never mind. When you were talking earlier about the dating to fill that hole, I was just flashing on Erica Jane Girardi saying to Tom, whenever he said, I'm proud of you, about her getting Chicago. And she was ugly crying and saying, that's all I've ever wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel that. I feel that so much.
Yeah. And yet we can be proud of ourselves.
Yeah. I'm proud of each other.
I'm proud of each other and have amazing, fulfilling experiences that are romantic for ourselves. I've really shifted towards romanticizing my life, and it brings me so much joy. My most romantic date that I've been on in the past year or two was when I made a reservation for myself, a one-person reservation, and I went to Book People and got the Britney Spears memoir. And I had a glass of red wine and my little Italian dinner, and I read it at the bar, and the people next to me asked about it, and I did a little back and forth, and I was just engrossed in this memoir. And funnily enough, Justin Timberlake, just another man who's disappointed us and reminds us why men can be disappointing and embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel called to read Shep's text message.
Please. Let's give a lay of the land. So in one of our shows, Southern Charm on the Bravo network, Shep has been a known fuckboy for years. This man has fucked everyone in Charleston and treated women horribly. We've seen him in a few long-term relationships, and it never goes well. And he's also said to not make sure that women orgasm.
Yeah, that's not
which is
not a concern of his. That's not a
yeah.
It's not something that he's.
So Shep this season was dating this woman, Sienna, who's this insanely gorgeous model, Miss Universe from the Bahamas, or Miss Bahamas, competing in Miss Universe, something like that. And we saw their relationship play out. Apparently they were never official, but all of it culminated on a cast trip where Sienna was clearly disgusted with this man, didn't want him to be there.
And that's on her a little bit.
A little bit.
You don't have to keep being here, girl. Just go.
She did, though. She saw herself out, and I think the trip was booked with Bravo, and maybe, not to break the fourth wall, but I think some things were scheduled.
Mm-hmm. She had a call time.
She had some call times. She was
she was paid for her.
Yeah.
Her time.
Yeah. But anyway, I think it could be healing for everyone to hear a really embarrassing text sent by an ex-fuckboy. So please,
okay,
let's end here.
Good morning, Sienna. Listen, I love seeing you and no one else. No one. But I'm not going to try to convince somebody they love me for 3 days, especially when I know deep down that they do. Whew. Here's hoping you understand my feelings and exalt them. I don't think I remember the exalt them part. What? Okay. I just don't feel this way ever. I know that you agree and feel a lot of what I do because I've heard it from your perfect little freckled lips. And those around us can say and think what they will, but we will have the last laugh and we'll have love, laughter, and everything that matters. Okay, my TED Talk is over.
And that's our show. Good luck, everyone out there. We love you. We hope that you're healing through relationships, and we'll catch you soon.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and consider leaving a review. If you have already, thank you. You can find us on all socials at The Healing Journey. You can find us online at www.thehealingjourney.com, and you can shoot us an email at thehealingjourney@gmail.com. Talk soon.